ready to embrace the magical side of life, where anything is possible and the infinite is accessible to all? Let's have a conscious conversation about what's going on in the world, in your life, and your relationship from the expanded perspective of your soul. The path to awareness begins and ends in the heart. So let's take it there, one step at a time, and learn to cultivate magic in your life every single day. In each episode, we share a collective space in which we discover the unique facets of our own magic and embody our superhuman qualities by humbly exploring how it's super simply to be human. Hosts Kai and Dell co-create a magical experience to remind you that you are magical as fuck. Now, be unleashed. This is our daily magic.
That was exciting. Wow.
Oh man, every single time I hear that intro, I just laugh at the end. And then usually what happens is Kai and I are in a space together, so I can see our guests like reaction to the end of it, of the punchline. Like, you are magical as fuck. Now be unleashed.
I love it.
Cool. So, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of our Daily Magic Podcast. And I'm very excited to have this magical being who we're going to have a magical conversation with. And I synchronistically had to like slow it down so I could pronounce it. Synchronistically came across this person on LinkedIn. Your content just showed up. I'm like, oh, who is this person? I resonate with this person though. Like, it's felt called from the message that you're sharing. And like, we're having a conversation before of just how effortless and powerful you are with what you do. And I felt your magic right there. So I had to send a message like, look, I want to have this person as a guest. And I'm going to be persistent to try to get this person as a guest. And you agreed, which I'm excited for, because I know the magic that you bring is not going to be very powerful for us, but it's going to be powerful for anyone who come across this as well. And for those of you who are here, welcome. Please share your questions, share your comments, and this will be a powerful conversation. And like I say, for every other conversation that we have here, take what resonates with you to incorporate more magic in your life, but also see the possibility from this magical being of what happens when you unleash your unique magic to the world and the impact that it can make. So I'm excited for this.
Thank you for having me, both Kai, Dell. I appreciate you both. So, and the audience that's watching live or on replay, no coincidences.
Yeah. And synchronistically, this is the Jersey bunch right here. We're all from Jersey.
Yes, Jersey strong in the house for sure.
All right, Kai, do the formal introduction, and then we'll get into the magical introduction.
Okay. I do have the honor and pleasure of introducing Laura St. John. As a mindset coach, Laura draws you in with her relatable girl next door appeal and radiates a positive energy that makes you feel welcome. Her deepest mindset lessons come wrapped up inside the everyday tips you need to get happy and stay on track. She is most widely known for teaching people how to flip their struggles and using them as fuel to manifest their goals. Born and raised in New Jersey, Laura's parents taught her the importance of seeing life without labels or limits. As most recently seen on Netflix, Selling Sunsets and NBC's Access Hollywood, there's a nice big picture of you on Access Hollywood on your website. What makes Laura different from the other modalities is her keen ability to not need to fix past struggles in order to help people move forward. She helps people get unstuck, sees past challenges, and manifest new results really quickly. She's sought out by celebrities, athletes, top CEOs. Laura's true passion lies in bringing her mindset lessons to the masses so that everyone can create their happiest life. Laura was just selected to be the go-to mindset coach for one of the top teams at Google. So Laura's genius just shines the brightest when she helps you sharpen your imagination and step into your next chapter. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thanks for having me.
What a pleasure. Dell, you got that burning question that you're talking about behind the scenes. Now's your time.
Yeah. So we are here in the space of who Laura is now, but I would love to learn about your own magical journey from New Jersey to where you are now. And how did you discover this for yourself, this modality that you are now embodying and helping others to actually embody for themselves?
I think for all of us, I mean, we're on our own paths, and I, recognize that no one's above or below anyone in life. We're just simply on our own paths, expanding, sometimes through our own struggles, sometimes through our own awareness of what we truly desire, getting after it. And, I can think back to when I was a child. I was, when you just said born and raised in Jersey, even though I'm out here in Malibu now and live by the beach on the other side of the country, I really think back to my childhood and how incredible it was. In the face of incredible challenges, my parents really showed me a life without walls, a life without limits. I was raised in a very, creative atmosphere where we could knock down walls into our bedroom and create new spaces, and, just unbelievable. When I was a young girl, my mom was sick with cancer when I was 6 years old, and she was given 2 years to live at that time. And she 100% decided that she was going to go after a positive outcome, despite what anyone was telling her. And, I hold that because I was taught it intuitively at a really young age to manifest positive outcomes despite what's in your face currently. And, she's alive today. She's 75. And it's just, I think I've always been exposed. That's just one big example of, even a life or death situation where you're up against a wall and you even have negativity being shown right in your face as evidence to how can you create your own internal evidence despite what you're seeing in your reality. And so it's something that I've really been intuitively taught or shown through example.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah. I mean, that's just one big example, but I would just say, and then, my family really raised us with a level of unconditional love that I felt no matter what happened, I did have that great family atmosphere. I'm sure it gave me the foundation to what I'm able to do today, to hold the space for so many thousands of people at the same time and not get stuck in the energy of problem, because I so greatly feel the energy of solution, and I can call people out so fast on when they're stuck inside the problem, how to see past it in that moment, but still look at it, not run and hide from it.
Cool. So, like you said, quickly call people out and create solutions. When did you actually discover that you had this magic of being able to do this? Like, what happened? Like, what was like the major point? Oh, wow, like I have this ability to do this.
I've always had a wild imagination. I think at some point, like, we're all born with an incredible imagination as a young child, and we imagine all these amazing things. We can have invisible friends, like we could, make up stories, and, we believe in Santa Claus and all the things when we're little. There's a blurred line between reality and imagination. And something I've really been able to hold very tightly as a skill set is my imaginative abilities to believe in a different outcome and see it first in my mind. And, I just think that is an asset that I've always been able to hone, because if you can believe in what you're seeing internally with your internal light, with your heart, I always tell people your imagination is not in your brain. To me, it's in your heart. Your heart is where your dreams are, and your heart is where what's most meaningful to you. And if you can go to that space and open your heart to yourself, you can really access your dreams that were placed in there. And so I've always been able to do that. I've always been able to, look outside and see mountains, but imagine that it could be ocean, and be like, well, someday I'm going to live at the beach. And instead of seeing, a sunset over these mountains, I would pop the pine trees into palm trees in my head. And it would be like, that's going to be ocean someday. And I could use, my imagination. I could use a photo on Pinterest, but I could imagine palm trees. And, I think it's the skill set of imagination that I've always had as a young child that I did not turn off.
Right. Because so many people are told to just turn it off.
We do. Well, we get a tough situation and then fear turns on worry. So we're using our imagination as we're washing dishes or we're driving in our car, and we're not anything automatic that you're doing every day. A lot of people now as adults are like, but I don't use my imagination. I'm like, no. If you are not consciously thinking right now about 100% focus about what you're doing in this moment, you're probably using your imagination without realizing it to worry about a projected negative outcome that has not even happened yet. So you're using it, you're just misdirecting it away from love and into fear. So I teach people to redirect their imagination with a really big vision for themselves that's crystal clear, because a lot of people are like, well, if I could just see the paths, then I would know what I want. And I'm like, no, you got to know what you want. And then the paths that have already been created magically unfold for you. They show up in front of your face, but those decisions have to come first.
You just said something so powerful just then that I'm like, let's bring more awareness to that in regards to imagination, because of the made up scenarios that we all are guilty of doing, of that made up scenario for something happening in the future and creating from the imagination. So like you said, the fearful thoughts of something that could potentially happen in the future, using our imagination in regards to that, and then the feeling, now I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling scared, and now I'm creating reality responding from that emotion. And I was just like, wow, because in regards to manifestation, one of the things they say is visualize it, imagine what it would be like, feel the emotions. And I would say to myself, like, I don't know how to do that. But for what you just said, like, wait, I'm already doing it.
You're doing it. You're probably doing it. And, some people are not naturally visual learners. As a teacher at heart, I come from a line of teachers. I grew an education company before I became a mindset coach. And, I recognize, kids taught me everything. When I grew an education technology company with my family, I realized that when we're young, we're very visual learners, but sometimes, we need people. Some people love affirmation. Some people love words and literacy. Some people love hearing, sounds and the ocean. Some people like smell. So as a teacher at heart, I recognize that, everyone has a different learning style. So if you are a visual learner and you are imagining, that negative event, it's every fear is pointing to something that's meaningful to you. If you're imagining an accident or, something going wrong, it's because it's meaningful to you that fear is even coming in. But the misdirection of imagination, or the thing that I hear a lot, which is like, I don't use it. And I'm like, tell me next time you're washing dishes, like whether you're just like, oh, look at all the little, things on that dish, or is your imagination wandering and you're not even aware of it. So it's a huge piece, because what you just said is key, in that you manifest based on what you're feeling. So you're already feeling it. This is a major piece of what I teach, that I believe the feeling comes first, and you're not consciously aware that you're feeling that emotion until your brain starts imagining the like event that you start worrying about, or the negative thoughts start pouring in and they're attracting to that emotion like a magnet. So, the emotion comes first, and then you are already starting to create in your mind based on what you didn't even know you were feeling. So if you're feeling really frustrated, but maybe you don't know it yet, although frustration is a big boost of emotion. So you usually do know when you're frustrated. But if you're feeling guilt and shame, which is a more slippery emotion that slides in the back door, okay, and you don't even know you're feeling guilt or shame yet until those thoughts start coming in, being like, oh, I made a mistake. That was terrible. I stink, blah, blah, blah. And then you start imagining what just went wrong. Those are secondary. So I always teach people, like, go back to what's that making you feel like, because that's already what you're manifesting. You might be manifesting it first visually in your mind. You might be manifesting it through by receiving these negative thoughts, but that's not the truth of who you are if it's not making you feel good on the inside. If your heart is always guiding you. So if it's, being covered up by a negative emotion and you start manifesting from that place in your head, your reality is going to match that.
Mm-hmm. So for a person, let's say they're feeling guilt and shame, how do they start manifesting from that space? Are they starting to create the reality from a place of being guilt and shame? Like, how does that happen in regards to that correlation of them visualizing something, the thoughts, believing the thoughts, and starting to feel the emotions, and then their actions? Like, how does that work?
The way I describe it is, and the way I see it, because I see it very visually since I'm so imaginative, I see all the emotions and I see how different ones are more boisterous, such as anger, frustration, like, it's like a whoosh coming through your body, because even energetically, anger and frustration is extremely close to courage. Like, you are ready to draw a line about some decision that you know you need to make in your life. Whereas guilt and shame are very low energies. They're very low, they slip right in. But no matter what, the way I describe it to people is, the true sense of who you are, your heart, is that I fully believe you're a loving being, with all the like unexpressed or expressed love that can be flowing to you, through you, from you, out, to others, to yourself, that you're 100% love. So any deviation from that, especially into a negative emotion versus even a more excited or positive emotion, is to show you, and that disconnect as you're feeling that emotion, which then like guilt and shame being some of the lowest emotions, that disconnect that's making you then feel terrible about yourself, that is your intuition screaming at you, saying you're moving further from the truth of who you are. So that's how I see emotions. The further you go and practice thoughts at a guilt level, to the point like you are being it, you're practicing those thoughts. The thoughts are pouring in. You think it's who you are. And then you feel really bad about yourself. The feeling bad about yourself is the first, I have my little ding, ding, ding bell of awareness, ding, ding, ding. It's the first ding, ding, ding moment, the moment you feel bad about yourself, that's not your truth. It's the current thought, and it's the current emotion, and it's the current, imagination or whatever might be pouring in, but it's not necessarily the truth in your heart of who you are. So I really teach people how to step by step recognize the emotions that they're in, recognize the mental state they're in, learn how to mentally rehearse, first of all, what to do with those emotions, how to put them on a shelf, not again run and hide or ignore them or pretend like they don't exist, but how to see them through the lens of courage, because courage is the energy that flips negative to positive. And so when I bring people then into courage, like, are you actually ready for change? Do you really want to change your life? If you don't want to, just go ahead and you can hang out in guilt and shame or anger or whatever, right? You can. It's like, I'm not here to pull anyone in any direction. I'm here to show them there's a path. There's a path out. There's a lot of heartache right now. There's a lot of pain in this planet. And I'm here to just be a voice of inspiration for those who are ready to be like, I want the path. I want to find my own path out. Can you give me some tools to show me how to access different emotions through my thoughts, through practice, like mental states? And again, you got to first look at where you are with 100% authenticity to be like, I own that. I've gotten to this place and I don't want to be here anymore. So it's interesting, because sometimes people think they're all ready when that's just like ready to manifest their dreams. And yes, people find me when they're ready to do that too. And it's fun and exciting, and I could just next level people so fast. But also people find me when it's, they're in a lot of pain and they're in a lot of struggle. And I'm not here to diminish it, but I'm not here to also like sit in it with you. Like, there's amazing therapists and other people that can go heal past modality, like the past, and help you. That's not who I am. That is not what I'm here for. And so I work with a lot of therapists and stuff, and therapists send me people, from all over the world, because again, I'm a completely different skill set that people need.
Right. The steps that you're giving us here are like, they're so like juicy. They're like so golden. And there's another post that you did on Instagram that talks about a specific kind of technique. And I'm so curious if you can break it down for us, because it sounds really potent. So it says advanced manifesting. Once you see your current reality as past tense, you allow yourself to change your relationship with now, and you stop trying to create something new from what's already outdated and out of style. So this allows new paths to open in front of your eyes you didn't see a second ago. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's deep, but it's how I look at reality. I look out onto reality and I see it as past tense, and it's extremely helpful because when you're feeling really stuck and you can't feel like you can get unstuck, what I teach is, well, there's a whole other version of you out here that you can tap into and then bring that version of you into now. And so that's all of my teachings. How do you, in the face of struggle, still know that there's a positive outcome beyond it? And then how can you learn to train yourself to expect in the better and better despite what's in your face, and expect in the better than expected? So one of the first steps in doing so is that Instagram post idea that I posted, which is you got to look out, to your bank account. You got to look out to your relationship. You got to look out to like anything that you are like, I want to change this. And you got to be like, well, all my actions, reactions, thoughts, emotions, everything that has been created thus far has brought me to right now. And I only have right now, right? We're, moving forward. I can't go back and change what's already happened, but I can change my trajectory from today moving forward. Every day, every moment is a new moment to recreate yourself. Your life is yours to recreate at every moment. So you don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to wait till January 1st. I've always, said this, like you could do it right now, but you got to develop a new relationship with now, because there is so much power in now, but most people are trying to start by undoing what's already been done, which is then starting in the energy of self-rejection versus self-acceptance. You're starting then in the energy of doubt that every stepping stone didn't lead you here intentionally. You're not starting in self-trust that every stepping stone, negative or positive, has brought you to right now. That whether you've learned the lessons or not, whether you see it as positive or negative or not, like you still are right here right now. So any negative baggage that you're carrying into this moment right now, you're going to create from if you don't know how to redesign and recreate your relationship with yourself right now. So it's a very first step to being like, well, if that's past tense, it's history, it's outdated, that it's a rebirth feeling. It's a free pass, I call it, feeling, where you're giving yourself, it's one of my first tools, how to give yourself a free pass to just not engage with the negative momentum, even if it's for 2 minutes. So you can start to create the space for yourself to actually create, because you're a creator. And, if you could do it without the baggage and say, well, I have now moving forward, despite everything that's brought me here, you're moving into acceptance and trust and abundance versus I got to fix all my problems in order to move forward. And I'm like, no, you don't have to. You could just move forward, but you got to give yourself this free pass to move forward in a different way.
I love the concept of the free pass. And it also feels like we're walking on this like edge here, on this line. What's the distinction between a free pass and bypass?
Yeah, great question. It's not to bypass or neglect or dismiss any negative. It's to say, because you might not feel gratitude right now for the negative. You can look at a negative struggle going on in your life and people are like, oh, you got to be so grateful for it, but you might not be feeling that right now. So I have another tool that I teach people how to nip and zip before they flip from strength to struggle. So then energetically, emotionally, mentally, how to nip and zip that so it doesn't ooze into the next step, because it's to look at it. I actually, in my drawer, carry my like little baggies, like literally I teach a lesson on how to zip and write down the problem, look at the problem, see that it exists. And maybe it was part of your past, or even what you felt like was your current reality on your shoulders, but you gotta zip it in order to flip it, because otherwise you're not going, you will be bypassing, you won't be owning. And that's what I was saying earlier. You got to own it with courage, because courage has the energy to flip negative to positive. So it's not to bypass and be like, well, let me just pretend these problems don't exist. That's weakness. You got to look at the problems with courage, which takes a ton of strength that comes from love, which is in your heart.
Blown away.
Yeah.
And it's really the first steps, and people know when they're ready, but they don't have the tools. So most people where I see go wrong, whether I'm working with top executives, athletes, they're still always trying to undo what's already been done, or they're trying to start their next chapter in avoidance of what they know they don't want. So if you start your next chapter being like, well, I know I don't want that job or that icky kind of relationship or this thing, you're carrying that energy in, you're going to create a do-over over and over again. So until you learn this important, critical first step, you're setting yourself up for remanifesting the same lessons, maybe different people, different situations, but same lessons. And everyone can relate to that. We've all struggled.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I say this to clients I work with as well, and I say to them all the time, I say, unless you have a time machine or you have like the abilities from Ashton Kutcher's movie Butterfly Effect, when you go back in time, you can't change what already happened. It happened. But whatever way you're being with it is going to change you. And whatever way it's changing you, if it's changing you in a bad way or a negative way, I don't want to say bad or negative because like it's a neutral standpoint. If it's changing you in a way that you wouldn't like it, you can always choose again. Choose a different way to be with it.
Your best decision is your next decision.
Oh my. So many magical nuggets.
And it's so true, because what you're saying is 100%. People are frustrated. They want to, it's frustrating when you are very self-aware, but you keep getting some of the same old because you're part of the process. And so it's a huge relief for people, because I call it big brained. When you're stuck in overthinking because your big brain wants to work through the problem because it fully believes that it needs to be fixed in order to move forward, you're again inside the energy of the problem. And what if you're not supposed to know? If you're in full trust, you might be like, well, the truth will be revealed to me exactly as it's meant to. Therefore, like, what if I'm not supposed to even solve this problem for another 6 months or 6 years? Can I trust the process, surrender to the process that deeply that maybe I'm not the one that's even supposed to figure out this problem? But most people get so stuck in the energy of their own problems, rightfully so, and then want to fix them, rightfully so, because no one wants to be stuck in their own pain and in their own struggles. But my first key lessons in making this nip, zip, free pass, all these acknowledgments to yourself is so freeing and relieving to people. And it lays the foundation then for great, great change fast. I'm like, change does not have to be in 21 days. It does not have to be in 6 weeks. Like people start changing in one day sometimes with my content because they were so ready for a perspective flip, and they were so stuck and frustrated in the energy of always pushing against and fighting their old selves for sometimes, months, years, decades, that within one day, the level of relief that my content offers people with an acknowledgement of the struggle. Again, it's not someone brought up the other day with Lucky Girl syndrome, like toxic positivity. And I was just like, first of all, I don't think toxic and positivity should belong in the same sentence. but I get what you're saying. Like, you can't be fake about it. You got to really be ready to look at yourself in the eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It reminds me of Tony Robbins, of a quote he said. He said, I'm not trying to say like, oh, like there's no weed in the garden. Like, there's no weeds. No, there's weeds in the garden. Become aware of it and then start plucking the weeds out.
Right.
Like, in that type of energy. And yeah, there's that persona out there, fake it till you make it type of thing that's out there as well in regards to it. So I love your flavor of it, because your flavor is saying like, yeah, see the good, but then also be honest with what you're seeing right now in the present moment and make the shift.
And I bust that myth. I'm like, for most people, fake it till you make it does not work.
Yeah.
Because they are people who are centrally strong in their core values have a really time faking it on the external. So they're faking one way, but inside their thoughts and their feelings are like, but I'm not rich. Like, why would I fake being rich if I'm not rich? So if you are centrally strong in who you are, you're going to have a hard time faking it till you make it, which is why I created all these. But for others who love role playing and being like, well, I love creating this persona and stepping into this higher self. And I could, how would this person act? Well, let me just be that person today. For some people, it works. That's why, you have to explore. And this is why I created like a tool belt of tools, a really huge kit, because for some people, they'll want to prescribe that if that worked for them. And they'll be like, oh, you have to use this affirmation. Say, I'm rich, I am wealthy, I am this and that. And like, that could work for the next person. But the next person who's saying, I am rich, I am this, who's not feeling it that day, needs a different modality. They will say those things and their brain and their emotion is firing off, but I'm not, which would cause a misalignment. So, I love doing mindset tune-ups with people because I really help them identify what part of you is off alignment. Is it your thoughts? Is it your emotional heart space? Is it your behaviors and action? Or is it your imagination? And I have, different tools for all four parts. And when you work on all four parts in alignment, you can manifest so fast, because usually one or two of the parts is off, and it's typically the mental thought space for people. That's why I'm a mindset coach, because mindset to me is all those things. It's not just your thoughts, it's your beliefs about yourself, it's your attitude, it's your lens on the world. It's, it's a mix of everything that flows in and out of you.
Beautiful. I love that you're tapping into the, one size doesn't fit all. When Dell and I were watching the Netflix special, one of the really important things that I noticed that you were doing with the person that you were sitting in front of was you were listening to them. There's so many times that I've seen that, like coaches, especially celebrity coaches, who come in and they just start talking right away. And they're like right into all of the things, but you took the time to actually listen to where she was coming from and then to discern what it was that she needed in that moment. So thank you for that.
I mean, and Christine Quinn is such a powerful manifester. I love her and I loved working with her. I worked with her privately afterwards too. And, she almost didn't come to the set that day. And then afterwards she was like, I know I was meant to meet you. And I was just like, yes, we were meant to meet each other. And she's, I could tell that if I could reach the audience that was feeling some of the same struggles that she was truly feeling from her childhood, from her past, and not give your power away to your past struggles, that would be a really powerful message. And, that was my goal in getting on the Netflix show to begin with. I was just like, I want to be on that show. But if I do, I want to work with Christine, because I could tell that the audience really gravitates to her power. And, it was really fun. So I love opportunities like this where I get to just share my messages with the people who get to hear them and need to hear them.
Yeah. By the way, I have a curious cat question. Well, it's almost a curious cat, and I'm curious. So, it's a question I had earlier, and I was like, I want to ask it now. So for you, you say you're in the education business with your family. What was the shift from there to becoming the mindset coach that you are now? Like, what was that?
What was the flip? Okay, so, everything's a stepping stone to your next thing. It was ironic because, working in education, training teachers, principals, kids, parents, really seeing where we get labeled up, where do things kind of go sideways for us in our learning environments. I worked with kids as young as, 3 to 8. It was really super fun. Then I launched gyms in Denver, Colorado with my husband. And, that was super amazing because we could take all the skill sets that we had learned from working with kids and saying, can we translate this into health and fitness with adults? Like, wouldn't that be really neat? And we did. We translated, exactly how we would teach kids in the classroom, which was label free. Like we would have gifted and talented kids, quote unquote, working with, special needs kids. And we were like, everyone's gifted and talented. Everyone's a genius. My parents taught me that everyone is a genius, Laura, like one who creates. Everyone has the ability to create their own paths in life. And if you ever become a teacher, go help people find that. So that's how I was raised. And, we brought that into the health and fitness world, and with astonishing results. People were, besides physically getting very much in shape, I worked on the mental and components to that program. So I designed mindset classes that would help people stop emotional eating. And, I saw just where I could fit in their imagination, helping them set and achieve goals that was beyond just coming in for a workout. So it was really neat because every time I could see where there were struggles, I could see where people would come in and explain, this is where, my mom got sick or I got a divorce, and I could see where their life would down spiral and then it took a physical toll. And I could see where I call it the art of the up spiral, what I created, which is how to shift out of a down spiral and flip it and turn it into an up spiral using your mindset, using your emotional space, and taking action and aligning those things to a desired outcome. So I started working there in that space because I didn't teach the fitness stuff, but I was getting really into the power of mindset, because I could see how all of our experiences working with kids could so easily translate into the belief that people can hold of themselves going through this experience. So that was really neat, and probably one of the first steps of getting my feet wet into it. But it was a perfect storm because I was 38 at the time. I'm 47 now. I was approaching that 40 mark, and I'd never worn even like a half shirt. I was like, I'm going to have a 6-pack, and I did, it was like, I'd never even worn a pair of shorts. Like I wasn't even comfortable in my own skin. So you see me all strong and confident now, but I started strong, confident living because I wanted to feel more strong and confident.
Wow.
And I wanted to be the example for the world of what's possible when you step into strength and confidence in yourself and in your physical body and in your mindset and all these things. So we created Strong Confident Living as an adjunct to our gym experience. And at the same time, my niece, who's now ultra famous, Livy Dunn, she's the #1 NCAA female paid athlete now in the
wow.
But at the same time, my sister Kat is just like, can you start talking to your niece, because, she doesn't want to listen to her mom. It's just not, it's a different dynamic with an aunt than a mom. So, and my sister was designing the mindset stuff with me. So I was like, sure, I can get through to her. I started designing, she was going to the Olympic Training Center at the time. She was one of the youngest, junior elite, she got onto national team. I went with Team USA and traveled with her as her mindset coach. I mean, it was a phenomenal process that I started coaching her just out of the goodness of my heart, thinking, oh, of course I'll help a family member, I'll create her wildest dreams. And I created a whole program with her that I call the voice of the athlete, which is because you could see how disempowered athletes can get, especially female athletes in the world. And I wanted her to really rise up and create, she wanted to create a brand for herself beyond the Olympics. She wanted to become famous. She wanted to create a brand. She wanted to empower girls to be more than just their sport and to believe in their bodies and be confident in who they are. And I just helped her design it all with these little mindset tools that I was making her, which I now share with the world. And it's amazing now because she's in this month's People magazine as one of the women changing the world. What she's able to do now and what she's manifested and what she's continuing to manifest is just, based on all the tools that I worked with her on, and, she had in her heart. I mean, she would have found this path, and I helped her accelerate the path. I fully believe that. And that's really what I'm here for. That, I believe that everyone's on their own path, but a lot of times they're slowing themselves down. And using the tools that I can give people and teach people, if they're willing to learn them and practice them, are so simple. That I started with her when she was 12. She's now 20. So, she's my my original mindset coaching client. And the reason I became then a mindset coach was all these parents and coaches started calling me, being like, we need an Aunt Laura. She was doing phenomenal things so fast that, she was going to Olympic Training Center. Coaches were like, how'd you get Livy to do this backflip, Jashenko, whatever? I don't even know the name of it. They just thought because I'm small and I'm muscular that I was a gymnast too. And I was going to do all these moves. And I'm like, I'm not getting her to do these moves. I'm just removing the fear. I'm helping her remove fear and self-doubt. And she had the moves in her all along. And that's what my big message is to everybody. When you remove the fear and self-doubt barriers, and you remove the ones from the past barriers that you're still dragging with you, you remove the barriers. So you're able to manifest quickly or start to see these paths that were always there.
You sure you weren't doing the backflips for her to show her? Like, this is how you do it.
It's just so funny because I had, this, pro baseball players. Like I've gotten to coach all these people now, and it's just they'd be like, I need an Aunt Laura. Like, Aunt Laura, we need you. So it would be so cute the way people would reach out to me. But I have a big heart for kids and teens, and showing people how to do this at a young age because they're very close to it, and it's usually the age where it gets covered.
Isn't it amazing what happens when you just be of service and how the universe backs you up and all the different things synchronistically, like you say, you share in your beautiful journey of what happened for you, but then also the desire to create something for yourself while also making an impact for others. And that's the thing I love too. It reminds me of my business, and I don't know about you as well, Kai, the business idea. And it's an idea that you create. I'm actually doing this for me as well because I want to do it too. I want to do it for myself. And it's helping you to also embody it even more. But then also there's people out there who want to experience the same thing. But then also being of service for others, for helping them in their journey like you did for your niece. It helps you to really start to get the curriculums and universe. Like, here's the stuff for you to do for others. But here. But really the essence of it is how can I be of service in this moment? That's the way I see it.
And find the reciprocation of that. So, I did an amazing lesson last night in our private group. I do a private group coaching where I hop on Zoom twice a week with a group of people. And I did a lesson, I call it the success pie. And I open up by sharing, that, like, what do you so freely give of yourself to others? And do you give that same energy to yourself? And so most givers and service people are usually giving, but they don't know how to receive abundance back. And they're blocking it. So even if you that's, an amazing, I have the same thing being like, how can I help, right? How can I help you? Whether put all the money aside in getting paid for goods and services, but how can I just help, right? Out of the goodness of your heart, that's really, to me, the human spirit. How can I help another person? But if we're only helping and then we're not knowing how to give ourselves the same energy, then people who are some of the most amazing helpers on the planet, the most big-hearted people, find themselves very underappreciated by others. They find themselves, not having a lot of financial wealth. They find themselves stuck in some of the reciprocation at coming back. And it's because, they're not giving that same energy to themselves, and they don't realize that they're blocking it, and then they're looking for it externally. So there's a lot of self-worth issues that get involved sometimes, I found, with a lot of people in the service sector, coaches, therapists, and people like that are doing so many amazing things in this planet, but then are actually not receiving, and therefore they're not even in their highest level of service because they're depleted, they're exhausted. So I really help a lot of coaches and a lot of people who are doing a lot of good in the world learn how to, I call it the up spiral of abundance, how to learn how to give, appreciate what you're giving, so you're receiving it back actually in real time, and how to open up that gateway so it can be a faucet, so you can direct it to, okay, I would like this to come back to me in financial wealth, because with more financial wealth, I can even give away more stuff for free. I can, live abundantly. I can help other people. You can do whatever you want with it. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of people don't realize that, I guess, is what I'm trying to tell you, because I'm sure you attract a lot of people in your community here in the Daily Magic that do a lot of great things, yet are very blocked to them from them, and they don't realize it. Or they realize it because they're self-aware, but they don't know what they need to fix. And I'm not here to fix them. I'm here to show them there's actually just, if you just look this way and you do it this way, it opens. That's what I'm here for. You're not broken. You're just slowing it down. You're blocking it. Here, just look this direction. Use this tool. Find this new path, and boom, 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 things change. It's pretty powerful.
Speak about our audience and community. Is there any comments or anything going on? Okay. They're taking it in. Just wanted to allow that space. But it reminded me what you were just mentioning when people say the point of, I wish someone would do for me what I do for others.
Mm-hmm.
That belief.
Mm-hmm. That's another myth that has to be busted, because that wish is I need an object or situation or person outside of me, external, to shift behaviors to give me what I need. So I feel better.
Mm.
And in the request for that, it's extremely likely that you're not giving it to yourself.
So it just keeps coming back to the same thing.
If you give the same loving energy to yourself, from yourself, you become more powerful, because you're self-generating light, and you don't require anything outside of you to wait or change in order to give that to you, because it's inside yourself. So you really step into your power when you're not like, oh, I wish this would happen, or if this would just change, then I would. Or it really justifies why a lot of people stay very stuck, because they stay stuck in waiting for an external condition to shift in order to shine brighter. When if you just give it to yourself using the tools I create to align you, you can just start giving it to yourself, shine brighter, and then you actually attract it. So you become a magnet to it when you're giving it to yourself, because you're broadcasting the signal of, I give this to myself, so now I'm a magnet to it. So it's so ironic, because in the lack of it and the waiting for it, you are completely repellent of that energy. Even if it was in front of you, you're not going to attract. So if you're like, I wish this person would appreciate me, I wish the world would, I mean, I was just working with a homeless lady, and she found an apartment, and she's manifested money and all this stuff now. And I could tell when I didn't even know she was homeless at first. And she's such a giver. And I was like, wow, are you giving any of this that she was telling me about, all the amazing things that she actually does with kids and all this stuff on the planet. She was in Europe, and I was just like, wow, you're doing amazing things. And then she shared with me later, I'm like, but are you reciprocating that to yourself? And then she shared with me that she was homeless, I was like, wow, you are really not reciprocating this energy to yourself at all. And if you don't know how to receive to you from you, you're not broadcasting. If it was even in front of you, that path that led you to the next person who was going to appreciate you, you're not in the energy of it. You would not hear the person. You would not see the path. You're just not in the receiving mode at all. So the way I kind of taught it last night in teaching the mechanics, once, I teach all the steps, was really how to show people how it's not a one-way street for a lot of givers. It's a two-way street. But you got to be the first person that's also driving back in the direction of yourself. And most people who are givers right now that need to really shift this. And I'm glad you're asking me it, because the planet is shifting clearly right now, from dark to light. And, things are being exposed now, and there's shakeups happening all over. But for the people who are leading the planet right now through their heart centers, it's so important that you open your heart to yourself, that you crack your heart open to you from you. Because if you don't, you're really not in you'll go to another stratosphere, even in your success of what you can coach people on, train people on. So it's a big part of my teaching, that level of self-care, and how to even do all my tools while you're doing other things. I teach people how to stack it while they're brushing their teeth or driving in the car. And, I teach people how to do my tools while they're doing other things that they were already doing. Because I know that a lot of time people are like, I don't have time for that. Because they're putting themselves last. Again, same problem. It's all part of the same problem, which is a lot of stuckness, because a lot of people who are giving are actually putting themselves last on their list.
Yeah. I'm ready to ask you the $1 billion question here, because I'm sure somebody in here is gonna take this in, or whoever watches this, they're gonna be able to get a powerful tool for them to use. So, from my own observation with just social media and things like that, I hear people saying how they want to get into a new relationship, but then they're afraid of getting into a relationship because of the fact of, oh, because I experienced this before. I experienced a horrible relationship. So now I'm afraid to get into a relationship because of the fact of that I'm afraid of that happening again, or even job situation. This could go so many different things.
Right.
Being afraid to actually get what you want for the fear of you experiencing what you don't want from previous experiences. So as the powerful, amazing mindset coach that you are, what would be advice you can give to somebody in regards to this, help them to shift this and actually be able to receive what they actually want?
Sure. You've got to learn the steps to stop overthinking your problems and take that brilliant skill set and show that whatever you're overthinking that you're worried about in the next job or relationship or whatever, wherever you had a shakeup of trust or love, whatever shook you down and created some level of crack. Now that you're, you first of all, you don't want to create from that void. And you're right. You don't want to create from a place of, I'm scared to do this next step because I've experienced this pain. You don't want to live a life with regrets that you didn't take a step forward because you were so fearful. And I don't believe in the, I also bust the myth of like, face the fear and do it anyway or whatever. Like, I don't know, there's some quote that's like everything is on the other side of fear, but I'm like, no, everything's on the side of love. If you learn how to tap into it, that could have been your intuition saying that that relationship was not good for you, or that, don't take that direction. So anyway, I have a lot to say about this question. I have many layers to it, but ultimately the simplest tool that I can share with people for the purpose of this broadcast is you got to start overthinking your dreams with as much intent and energy that you overthink your current problems. If you don't start overthinking your dreams, like if you don't actually start putting the same energy and attention that you are giving to your struggles that are in your face, you are putting your energy then into the struggles. You are putting energy into the lack of decision-making. I say indecision is still a decision. If you're deciding to stay stuck and then justifying why you're stuck, you're just going to stay stuck. So you got to start creating new reference points that have not existed yet. So it starts to diminish the reference points that are big for you. So if you're like, I'm not sure if I could jump into another job or relationship, what if I get hurt again? Okay, well, those reference points of you being hurt are probably really big. So you got to make your dream reference points even bigger, even louder. So, so it starts by recognizing, where am I putting my thoughts and attention and focus? And can I start putting them in at least equal amount of attention? And then once you're really working with me, it's more attention. You're putting more attention into the reference points that haven't happened, so much so that when they manifest, we have a lot of sayings in my group coaching, like amazing, but not surprising. Like, of course that happened my way. Someone in my community called it, I create, these little movies in your brain, 2-second movies, I call them. And when they happen in your reality, it should feel like a rerun, because you've mentally rehearsed that win so much that when it actually comes into your reality, you're so familiar with it. Most people don't do that. Most people are in constant reactive mode or running mode from not wanting to, reinvent what they're fearful of. And they don't realize in taking action from what you're fearful of, even to avoid it, you're still participating in the energy of it. So you got to really shift into the energy of the dream, into the energy of the future you, and bring that energy into today. And that's really what my tools do. I have ways that I accelerate people into their current future versions, but then bring it back into right now.
Amazing. Amazing. Like, there's so much to get from what you just said.
Every sentence has some depth to it, intentionally, for all the listeners. So wherever you are in your journey, you're going to glean, some nuggets, and you can rewatch this a couple times and you'll keep hearing new things.
Definitely will. And for those who are looking to take the next step with you, where can they find you?
Sure. Strongconfidentliving.com. I believe that you are a strong person that comes from love. I believe that, confident is a feeling that comes from holding on to a positive outcome. Sometimes people are confident in a negative outcome. That's what we were talking about earlier. Strongconfidentliving.com is my website. And you'll see that, I've got a lot of free content out there. So if you're just looking to dabble into learning more about me and what I offer and the tools, those are the 1-minute videos and not the full curriculum, but there's a lot of information out there that you can find all over social media. On TikTok, I have a lot of TikToks and little 1-minute videos that are so helpful for people. And then I have, an intro to manifesting course that I created right after I was on Netflix. I actually waited to film the course until I was in the precise energy that I knew I wanted to be in to make the impact I wanted to make on the world. And I made it $20 because I just was like, I have to make it no brainer. So it's logical for people who are ready to take that next step in the intro to manifesting course. And honestly, that's where I tell people to just begin. And if you're ready for group coaching and want to join me on Zooms, twice a week and all that, then really take the application to the next level in money and career and relationships and love and finances, wherever in your life, then, you can dive in further from there. But that's typically the path that people take.
Amazing. Let's say that there was someone who was just catching the end of this broadcast. Is there one thing that you would love to leave with people if they only remembered one thing from this?
Absolutely. That would be trust. Trust is the highest manifestation of self-love. And when you really step into trusting yourself and accepting yourself, that you are exactly where you're meant to be in this moment, even if it's not where you want to be, that you are exactly where you're meant to be, you create the platform that I teach, that stuck is just a feeling and unstuck is also a feeling. And you can unstuck yourself faster than you've ever imagined and manifest faster than you ever imagined.
Right on. Thank you so much, Laura, for being here and for sharing your brilliance and magnificence with us all.
I appreciate everybody for listening. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Dell. You two are, amazing lights for this world as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we made a trifecta light from this conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay, and again, a big thank you to everyone who is out there listening. You are also making this conversation possible. And
stay magical.
You've been listening to our Daily Magic Podcast with Kai and Dell. Please like, subscribe, and tune in next week for another magical episode. Visit www.ourdailymagic.com for more. Thank you for listening and have a magical day.